Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Cousin
Connection
Podcast. Wow, finally,
I
after
know
like
it.
weeks of messing up, this is now episode 19.
Almost getting to that 2-0. We're almost, or actually, I said that last time. We're legal, so we're almost legal in America.
Almost.
Oh wait, technically 18 is legal. Well, that's wrong though.
No, it's not.
Because 21 is illegal for the thing that we can't even do.
I know. Honestly, why did we like?
I don't know.
Anyways, hello guys.
Putting us off track already. Like literally 2 seconds in.
we have actually I can't even speak. We have a really interesting topic for this week's episode.
Well, I don't want to hype it up too much, just saying.
I think it's interesting. It's something that a lot of people face.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're actually going to talk about, how did I say it in our WhatsApp chat? Because I like how I formulated the sentence there.
Let's see how she wrote it in the chat.
Wait, you're gonna read the wrong one and I'm gonna sound dumb. Hold on.
Let's see. Okay,
Ooh.
this is how she said it. She said, "My mom's trying to make me
No!
go to Costco." Oh shoot! Did I read the wrong one?
I knew you were gonna read that. I knew you were gonna do that.
Okay, go.
What I actually wrote was how to be confident and combat self-doubt.
Yeah, and I replied saying like that's basically two sides of the same coin. Like,
Can you expand on that, please?
because like to have the lack of doubt is to be confident. No, to have no doubt in yourself is to be confident. So essentially saying that if you're a doubtful person, then can you be confident? At least in my mind, I feel like that's an oxymoron. To be a confident, doubtful person.
I think there's a spectrum.
Well, yeah, there's a spectrum for everything, technically. Mm-hmm.
Oh, some people in this world, they think everything's black and white.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, close-minded people, but we're not. Well, there are certain things. No. Let me explain myself. Let me explain myself.
You better.
There's certain things that are black and white, but like
a lot of the things are gray.
Yeah, a lot of things are gray, and some people don't know how to distinguish that. So, and I'm okay. You know what? I'm not going to judge people and say they're closed-minded. They just need to learn. That's all it is. Okay,
they're just a little.
I think
less
I've dug myself out of that hole. I'm now.
They're just a little less open-minded, is what he was trying.
That's
to say.
what I was trying to say. I'm not here to judge. Okay.
Too late for that.
Yeah, whatever. It's okay. Let's move on.
So when we brought up this topic, I actually experienced a little bit of like let's just get personal for a second. Oh my God. It's my neighbor Amir, and I'm not wearing a hijab, and he's literally, the window's open to me. I froze.
Should I go to you?
Yeah. Any of my hijabis, you know that like sudden fear that strikes in your heart when a man comes uninvited to your house.
No, but he was a nice man. He dropped off some apples for us. So
Yeah, no, it was my neighbor. It's just that the room that we're sitting in, we opened the blind so that we could see when our moms come over. And I literally was like about to make eye contact with this man, and I stared at him like, Amir?
I literally ripped out my headphones, my cable, everything, just so I could close those blinds as fast as possible.
Because he was literally at my eye level. Like, I could see him. So
I am an analyte, guys.
Why didn't I just do this?
I don't know.
I didn't even think straight.
By this, she meant cover her face with a pillow.
Yeah. But it's all good. We're back to, I don't even know what we were saying.
What were we saying last?
Oh, yeah. I was about to get personal.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay, so I think for anyone who is dealing with self-doubt or just maybe like second-guessing themselves, negative self-talk, whatever you're dealing with, it's not in just one aspect of your life. Sometimes it kind of happens in multiple areas. One big area for me is like my work, like actual job.
Like you feel like you're maybe not qualified enough or something?
Sometimes, yeah. And the thing is that, so my manager, she's actually really great. Like she's good at recognizing these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so crazy to me because I don't know if we've ever spoken about this on here, but did we talk about love languages before?
Yeah, we
Kind of we did,
broke into
right?
it. Yeah, when we were trying to figure out mine.
So one of mine
Mm-hmm.
is words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to be reassured 1,000,005 times romantically or even like normal, like platonically.
Yeah.
And she's so good at doing that.
Mm.
But here's the thing.
What?
I also get really uncomfortable with compliments.
Sarah? Like
It doesn't make sense. Like I need
that's
to
literally
I know. Okay, let me try to explain.
okay.
It's like I need you to tell me I'm doing a good job, but don't overdo it. Don't be like, "Oh, you're great, you're amazing, you're this, you're that." I
Yeah,
can't live
okay,
with,
okay. I
know?
understand that. Yeah, yeah.
And she does that.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday, I had to. I was basically doing like a side project with someone from another department, and I didn't realize like he's a senior manager. Like I had no idea of his title.
okay.
Like didn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
So we worked together, and then, we said our goodbyes. It was like on Teams, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool, see ya. Like maybe in the office. He's like, yeah, coffee on me. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem.
Yeah.
Today, I get an email from the vice president of the company. And I was like, oh my God. I knew, like I started to like kind of shit myself when it said, hi, Sarah. Because if
that
it
was
was
that was the only subject. That's it.
So no, I said feedback.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
What
Yo,
did I
before opening that, my heart would drop. You start racing.
And I got the email while I was on the phone with a client.
Yeah.
So guess who did not pay attention to that client? Me, because I was like, oh my God. I started sweating. I was like, let me see what this says.
Yeah.
So I opened it up, and it was the nicest email ever. And she was like, hey, I spoke to the guy. He emailed me this morning, and he had like a whole paragraph of praise for you. Like, you're amazing. I just want you to know that you're doing such a great job, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And then she like CC'd all of my managers, like my direct managers. So I was like, okay. Like, so I responded. I was like,
You're like, yeah.
like, hey, how's your Friday going? As if she'll respond, right? But like, So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. It's fine, right?
Yeah.
And then we had this thing through work where like you can recognize your like other colleagues by
Yeah.
sending them rewards and stuff. Like it's like a reward program. You can buy stuff online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay.
So he sent me one of those, and it was
Yeah.
like this really nice paragraph. So I messaged him, and I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, the
Yeah.
VP just emailed me too. Like, you didn't have to do all that. Thank you though. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Then as the day's going on, I'm just working through this Friday.
Yeah.
Then I get a message from my direct manager, and she's like, hey, I'm going to call you. So I was like, okay.
I hate that.
So you know how like there's a TikTok now where
Yeah.
it's like the person's talking to their therapist?
Yeah.
And
And they're like describing the sound, and the lady's like, it goes some like do do
Yep.
do do do.
That was literally me today. So she's calling me,
Yeah.
and she's like, so I'm like, oh no, because the thing is,
Yeah.
no indication of what she's going to talk to me about. So I'm
Mhm.
like, did I do anything to mess up recently? Like just trying to like backtrack, right?
Yeah. You didn't think it was related in any way for what was going on in that day?
No, because it was like the email and everything, like
Yeah.
the guy reaching out, that was in the morning. This was like at 3 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I didn't think,
Yeah.
I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah.
So then she's like, hey, and then we're on video call too, okay?
Yeah.
So she's like, hey, how's it going? How's your day? Whatever.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, good. How are you? Like trying to, suss
Yeah.
out her vibe. Then she goes, anyways, so I wanted to reach out because you're amazing. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, and I know you already know that, but like, I just, obviously you saw the email this
Yeah.
morning, and she's like, I just wanted to personally like come and talk to you
Yeah.
about it. Like you clearly are doing such a good job, and just
Yeah.
kind of, said whatever she had to say. I'm not going to
Yeah.
sit here and praise myself. That's weird.
Yeah.
But she sat there, and I was like, thank you so much. Like, but the whole point of this story was we had a meeting last month where she was kind of saying like, how do you want to be recognized? She's like, do you want me to like send an email to the entire company to say how good of a job you're doing? And I was like, no, don't do
Is
that.
this like a questionnaire, or is she literally asking?
She's asking me.
Okay. Yeah.
She's like, do you like praise? And I was like, don't overdo it. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know if like I'm doing a good job,
Yeah.
but don't sit here and praise me to my face. And then like, cause she literally was going off. I'm like, okay, if I say thank you, does that come off as arrogant? She's
Yeah.
like, no, you need to be confident.
Yeah.
Like, be confident and say thank you. I know I'm good. And I was like, I'm
Mhm.
not going to say that to you. Like, I'm literally not going to say that.
Yeah.
But then it had me thinking of, because we were texting earlier, you
Yeah.
and I, right? So then I was like, oh my God, this is like perfect. Like, not that I was doing it intentionally,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that's considered self-doubt.
Well, like I think it's more like you you didn't realize how important you were for the company until they started to kind of do all of this essentially, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of affirmed that you have a place in that company, and like it's not like you're just any other worker to them in a way. And
Yeah.
there's some people who think like, oh, I'm expendable, or like I'm not like I don't have any real significance or input on this company. But then when you get affirmations like that,
Mm-hmm.
it can really solidify your
purpose, I guess,
your
maybe.
purpose, but also crush any of those doubts that you might have of your place in the company.
Yeah, but I mean, I also feel like they have, like, nowadays they always say like you are expendable though. Like even if you decide to quit, they'll just replace you.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah.
So knowing that you actually are a person of value to the place that you work for,
Yeah.
it's kind of like reassuring, and it motivates you to do a better job. And I know
Mhm.
like work isn't like the only thing that we do in life, you know.
Mhm.
We obviously have other passions and
Yeah.
whatnot, but it's also where we spend majority of our time. So if you enjoy what you do, you enjoy the environment and the people that you work with, like that's
Mhm.
best case scenario, because unfortunately that's not always the case. Like not everyone loves their job.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there are times where I'm just like, need a vacation.
I think everyone has that. Like you hear about it in any profession.
Yeah.
Like people who you think should not have any complaints, like celebrities or people who are making millions of dollars, they still say, sometimes I'm just done. Like I feel tired and I need to take a break.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you mean take a break? You're on vacation. It looks like you're on vacation every week. It's like, no, you need to take a break from like all of that.
Yeah.
Like even from if you're like in the middle, I don't know, like in Italy filming like some nice movie or something, and it looks like you're living this lavish life. Sometimes that person might just feel like the best thing for them is being at home, sitting down, reading a book. Like that's how they reset essentially.
That's true.
Yeah, but that's one big aspect of doubt, like in the workplace, right? There are a lot of people who doubt their skills, or they doubt whether they're they're actually doing a good job. Like that's why a lot of times whenever you get that email saying like you have your review, like people who have doubt, like you'll be so nervous before that, because everything in your mind will come be like, I know I could have done that better, blah blah blah. Like I don't think I was as good. Like they may come out, and then you actually have the review, and you end up like they're like, oh, they're praising you and they're saying you're like really good. We love you. We actually can see you moving up in the company, and you're like, really?
Yeah.
I didn't think that.
Anytime. Yeah, that's so true. And I think like I remember learning this in school. Like although like monetary compensation is very important to people,
Yeah.
simply throwing money at someone is not enough motivation to actually keep them motivated to do their job.
Exactly.
Like they need other aspects, like whether it's you're verbally
like
verbal affirmation,
Yeah, exactly.
or non-monetary rewards, which there are so many. Like that's just HR stuff, but you know but it's true. Money does buy happiness. Okay.
No.
It does.
Okay, maybe that's where we disagree then.
Really? You don't think money buys happiness?
I don't think so. Like maybe,
as Ariana Grande once said, whoever says that money,
there's a certain amount of maybe money like where you can kind of sustain your life, and then anything on top of that, I don't think it really should be is tied to happiness. Because there's always people saying, like, people who are making multi-million dollars who are not happy at all, and there are people who are like struggling from day to day, but personally still feel, or not, in a way they're struggling, but like they're living from on their day to day, but they're like super happy. So it depends on the person, really.
You know what the difference between those people are? One has gratitude, humility, humbleness, and thankfulness.
Yeah.
And the other has greed, because they always want more. So that's why they're never happy.
Do you think that's it? Like that's the reason that?
That's a big reason. if you're satisfied within your means,
Yeah.
you're always going to be happy because you're not going to be looking for more.
Yeah, but I think the reason some of those people who say they're not happy, the ones that are multimillionaires, I'm just using that as an example, or people who just have $100,000, whatever, is because of the things that come with having money. Like now people look at you for certain things. You get asked for things all the time. Family, if you say no once, then you're cut off from family members who think that you're just being ungrateful and you're not willing to help your own people, that kind of thing. Like just things that we don't see because nobody's asking us for anything, right? But once you make it to a certain place, you get people you've never heard of asking you for things, and depending on exactly what you're making money from, like if you're famous or something, then you have to deal with not being able to even go outside anymore without people harassing you in any way, right? So those things kind of pile on and can lead to them feeling unhappy in the situation they're in, and they actually start to fantasize about not having this and going back to their normal life, or what they quote unquote thought was their normal life back in the day, right?
So there's this perception that the richer that you are, the greedier that you are. And not greedy in the sense, because you were saying like, no, because people who make a lot of money, they'll invest it properly. But what are they investing it for? Themselves, or to quote unquote build generational wealth. But do they donate? There's this huge issue of this, what's the term?
We don't want to make too many assumptions though, because we don't know what these people are doing. We just assume that they're not.
But there's such a huge, is it called a wealth gap, where there's people who are extremely rich and then extremely poor in the same country.
Yeah. And okay, so there is some, but that's kind of getting away from the whole does money make you happy situation, right? Because like in both of those extremes, there can be someone who's happy and someone who's unhappy. So that's why I believe at the root that money does not equal happiness. It can put you in a situation where you have more opportunities to be happy, but it doesn't ultimately make you happy, if that makes sense. Is that a better way of kind of breaking it down?
I agree with you only because you literally used different words. I never said money makes you happy. I said money can buy you happiness, which is essentially the same thing, because you said money gives you more opportunity to make you happy. So we agree. Okay,
we'll agree to disagree to agree.
We're agreeing.
Okay, we're sort of agreeing. Okay.
We literally are agreeing. We just said it in two different ways.
Are we agreeing though?
We are.
No, I'm saying, but like, but you won't get that outcome. Like you can try and buy happiness, but you might still not get that outcome.
Okay, Ariana Grande thinks that the more money you have, the happier you are. It could actually buy you happiness. But Biggie says,
and Ariana Grande also licks donuts. Okay. In stores.
That was so long ago, first of all. But second of all, I was going to say, and Biggie says, more money, more problems.
Exactly. Two trains of thought. Yeah, two trains of thought, and you know which way I'm going to be going. Okay.
But who's still alive?
Okay, she was literally born after he died, okay?
No, she wasn't.
Yeah, she was.
He died in like 1996 or something.
95. I don't know, but like she was born in like 2000.
Ariana Grande?
Yeah.
She's literally our age.
No, she isn't.
She's maybe a year younger.
She looks like a baby.
She's like 27 or something.
No way.
Yeah.
I think she purposely does that. She makes herself young. But we're going off the topic here.
Okay, yeah,
we're supposed to have a serious topic here about doubts, okay?
Okay,
So we talked about the one aspect of doubts, which is in the workplace.
Do you have self-doubt in the workplace? And if so, how do you combat it? Or what's an example of you experiencing self-doubt?
Well, like, my doubt usually comes from like the anxiety of being like, that one mistake that I made is going to come up like later in the future. And really it was like something small to everyone else and it never really comes up again. But I just tend to like repeat things in my head a lot, especially if you make that one mistake and you usually like at the job that you're doing, at least at the job that I have, I've been doing it for so long now that I'm like the senior in that position technically. So whenever I make a mistake, I just like in my head I'll replay like, why would I make that mistake? This is such an obvious thing. I should have seen it before ahead of time. And then that'll maybe slowly build into doubt on whether or not I'm actually good at the job. But usually I'll kind of realize, no, I've been doing this for years. Everybody makes mistakes. So I think one way, I guess, of stifling any of those doubts that might come up is by reminding myself that everyone makes mistakes. We're all
Everybody
human.
makes mistakes.
Exactly.
Everybody has those
I
days.
feel you're gonna quote that song.
If you know, you know.
And just realizing that what may seem big to you, that big mistake that you made, is probably not that big. Like, unless you cost the company like millions of dollars or something.
This shit happens.
Yeah, and in the end, like, the worst scenario is what? That you get fired. And that's highly unlikely to happen, especially with a lot of the regulations that probably go. You can't really, I don't know if you'd be fired for those kind of things, but yeah, usually I'll just quell those thoughts by reminding myself that you're allowed to make mistakes as long as you learn from those mistakes and you try not to make them again, essentially. Okay, go ahead. You were about to say something there.
No, that I agree with you, and I was just gonna say that I think it's easier to combat self-doubt when it comes to work, because when you're doing your job, it's a little bit more impersonal. Whereas if you have self-doubt within yourself, for example, like if you're insecure about maybe, your looks or something about you or the way that you act, or I don't know, something to do with that.
Yeah.
It's more personal because it's you, and it's sometimes it's something that you literally can't change.
Can't change.
Like, you were born. I mean, nowadays you could change anything.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, the average person doesn't just wake up one day like, I'm gonna go change my entire body and my face and everything about me.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know if that really stems from doubt, but more of just like self-esteem. Self-esteem probably plays a big part in that, because if you have a low self-esteem, then you start to point out, like when it comes to more of the physical things.
Yeah, okay, maybe self-doubt comes into play when it's like when it comes to your actions.
Yeah,
because for me, like, my quote-unquote self-doubt makes me hesitate before I do something, because I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, and I was like actually gonna bring up, like, where does all this doubt stem from? And like, I feel like it's not a secret that in the immigrant community in general, you grow up being told,
we're taught to be modest.
Yeah, you're taught to be modest, and you're taught,
which
not
isn't
to,
bad, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And to not kind of fall outside the lines in what you want to do. More really, I mean, more in the sense of like professionally what you do in your future. And I feel like, unfortunately, that puts a lot of doubt in people's head on whether or not they're able to kind of branch out and do something different from the community, if that makes sense. So like, I think especially for if there's any younger people listening to this, if you have something that you want to do, like let's say you have an idea, especially if you're at your younger age, it doesn't matter what age, but especially if you're at a younger age, I feel like you should pursue any ideas you have at that age, because at that age you're still able to make mistakes and bounce back from them. Especially, at least in our community, I feel like we have a lot of support systems. So especially with your family, we're very family oriented, so it's not like they're gonna abandon you. Well, it depends on what you do, but like I feel like you still have a lot of opportunities to make mistakes and try new things, because you don't know what's gonna pop off, essentially, right? But
it's not as encouraged as like let's take like Gizman, for example. Hi, Gizman, if you're listening. But at the time that she started YouTube, why do you think she kept it a secret from all? Like, I think I was like
that's a big thing. You
know what I mean? She kept it a secret because, not that it was self-doubt, but doing YouTube at that time in our community was not something that was normal. Yeah. Even though we all watched it.
Because, you know why? It's because you realize that, like, that's why I feel like you should keep your dreams close to you and not let anyone know about them. Just do it yourself until you're at a level to where it's almost like you have no choice but to tell, or people will just find out, essentially, because that's where the doubt will start. Like, the moment you start telling people what you want to do and it's not something of the norm, then they're immediately going to start put it doubt into your head, say like how many people are successful in that? Like, can you make money from it? Can you do this? Can you do that? Like, think about your future. Is this something long-term that you can do? They put all these doubts into your head, and you before you even take your first step,
you're already doubting yourself,
exactly.
And then you hesitate, and then you just don't end up doing it.
You just don't do it, right? But of course, like with Gizmo, she did something smart where she just did it. She like started quietly doing it by herself, well, at least from what I could tell from my side. And as it built up, eventually it built to a level to where it was unavoidable. You had to tell and be like, okay, at this point, I'm making enough money. Like, okay, guys, like you can't tell me no at this point. Like I'm already pretty much successful in this, in what I've been pursuing. Now I'm just telling you guys so I can pursue it even further and go further with it, essentially, right? So that's why I feel like if you have a dream or something, just keep it close to you at first, build it yourself first, work on it yourself, and then eventually start telling people closely, because unfortunately the people closest to you are the ones who are going to put doubt into your mind. At least that's how I feel, at least in our community.
Yes and no.
Okay.
It depends on the person, right? Like sometimes you are lucky to be surrounded with people who are supportive regardless of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And then, there are other people. But then that poses the question, is it self-doubt then? Because if it's other people that are projecting could be their insecurities or their worries or their doubt on whatever you're trying to accomplish, it ain't self-doubt then.
Well, if you let it affect you, then it is self-doubt.
But it was impacted by other people.
Doubt. That's their doubt. That's their doubt until they give it to you.
Yeah.
And then if you hold on to that doubt and then you start to feel it yourself, then it is self-doubt. It is your doubt. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, they're giving it to you, and then it's whether you accept it or not. If you accept it, then it becomes part of you. It starts to become your doubt.
What a vicious cycle.
Yeah, so that's why I don't want to put the community under the bus, but like, there's a certain track that people follow. And you try to go off that track, then you're going to get those people who are telling you maybe you should do it as a backup.
I think that now our community has become a lot more open-minded.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
And now they're almost telling you to like, think outside the box. And you're like, exactly. What?
And honestly, at this point, like, I feel like the way, with inflation, everything is going, you almost have no choice but to start branching out and trying different things, because just doing the typical thing of going to school, getting a job, working on that job, then getting a house abroad, that's not possible anymore. You have to have multiple streams of income, essentially, right? So
that depends on the type of lifestyle you're looking to live, but
well, yeah, exactly. It depends on if you want that house and like the car and all that kind of stuff. If you're just looking for something more humble, then you can still, at least now, still work like a regular job and be able to maybe purchase like a condo or something like that.
Condos are expensive now too.
Yeah, even condos are expensive, right?
I get you, yeah.
But in general, I feel like you were mentioning, now that we're seeing, the reason that people are being more accepting also is because representation is a big part of it, right?
Yeah, yep.
Like when you see that there's Gizman who's a successful, or Aisha who's a successful YouTuber.
Gizman,
Manal, exactly. Dean. You have all these people who are successful in their own right in that field. And then you have like people who are successful in the clothing realm who are like Salim and who's the other guy?
Who?
Oh my God!
What's the brand?
I'm really bad with names. I don't even know what the brand name. Shoot,
what
I'm really bad with names. Okay,
There's
I feel so bad now.
Habesha with a clothing brand.
Yeah, but I'm forgetting the name now. But there, when you see that other people are doing it and are successful in it, then the people who would normally put doubt or cast doubt in your mind will be less likely to put that doubt in your mind, and they'll maybe even encourage it at this point, right? And there has been that shift over time, but initially, at least when we were growing up, it was like, if you don't follow this track, then
it was a very straight and narrow path.
Exactly.
Now I feel like we got a couple lanes.
Yeah. Do you feel like our community would be a lot more successful? Not successful, but like we would have I guess a lot more successful people if we didn't have those initial I guess not regulations, what would you call it, like that simple track that everybody wanted their kids to go on. If they didn't push for that so hard, do you think that we would have people who are more successful? Because I feel like that kind of stifles having that one track mind kind of stifles what do you call it again, the potential of the person, right? So I feel like there are a lot of people who kind of had a lot of potential, but because of this people casting doubt in their mind, they maybe got a job that they didn't love, and they're maybe still working that job that they love, and unfortunately they feel like they're kind of stuck there, right? Because of all the naysayers when they were growing up that would tell them, or not even naysayers, just people who, because in the end these people do love what's best for you, right?
You know, sorry to cut you off,
Mhm.
but I was just going to say, I think for a lot of our parents' generation,
Mm-hmm.
there was so much doubt there because their doubt stemmed from fear of failure.
Yeah.
A lot of our parents immigrated here, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them were either teenagers or early 20s, some early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So they literally came with nothing,
Yeah.
and they had to rebuild after they were kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, they had to rebuild. Not only did they have to rebuild and kind of build their wealth again from ground up, but they also had to start new families here. So some of them either came here married or got married here and then had to have kids, right? Like that was the next course of their life, right?
Yeah.
They didn't always have the opportunities that it's such an interesting like position to be in for us as first generation, because for a lot of people our age and older, we are the first ones who actually finish post-secondary school. We have degrees. We have the opportunity to enter the workforce. We grew up knowing the language of the land, you know? So for our parents, I can understand why they had such a straight and narrow path for us, because they didn't know any other, like who in their...
They didn't have any examples.
They didn't have any examples, exactly.
Yeah, going back to the representation I was talking about, right?
Right. And I think that if they maybe were given the opportunity that we were, you know, I think that a lot of our parents, they're very smart, mashallah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them would have, if they could have, pursued higher education, and then through that had, you know, maybe better paying jobs, better opportunities. And if they had more opportunities, then we would have even more opportunities than we already do now.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, it could have opened so many more doors up. And I think that, you know, instead of doing the quote unquote stereotypical jobs that we're kind of pushed into, you never know, people of our age, our demographic, like we could have been doing so many other things that we would have never even dreamed of.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But like, do you get what I mean though about that point?
Yeah.
So, you know, ultimately, regardless of who you are, I think that a lot of the doubt comes from fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough. Like, and so you kind of have to, and I'm saying this as someone who's also very doubtful, so don't think that I'm like,
yeah, we're both working on that. It's a big thing.
You know, so
everybody's dealing with.
Personally, for me, like something that I do to quote unquote combat the doubt is I try to identify what am I afraid of? Like, why am I being so doubtful?
Yeah.
Is if it's fear of failure, then, you know, I think what I fear more than failure is not even like the fear of what if, like of not trying at all, you know?
Yeah.
So if I'm going to try something and I fail, well, at least I know.
Exactly. That's actually literally a point I wrote down. There's like, it's accepting the fact that failure is an option. It is something that can happen, but still going for it essentially, right? Because I think that's the thing that stops a lot of people from starting is the fact that they think they're going to fail essentially.
Yeah.
But the moment you cast that away and realize, or not even cast it away, but accept that it may be an outcome.
Yes.
Then it makes it a lot easier to take that step forward and at least start on the journey.
You can't eliminate the fear, but you can accept that it's there.
Exactly. And the thing is that like from the start, let's say you did fail, from the start to that failure, you don't know how much you could have learned in that time and what could stem from those things that you've learned from there. So like, let's say you wanted to start, I don't know, a clothing brand or something. And though your clothing brand didn't take off, you made connections with like distributors and you know someone else who has a clothing brand that might be more successful and you can connect them better and become some type of manager, or, I don't know, in that realm.
True.
So like there's skills that you will build in that time, even if you failed at the final goal, there's skills that you built in between there that you can use for future goals or other things that you might have in mind, right? Because everything is a learning opportunity, including that failure. So you shouldn't.
Some say that failure is the best teacher.
It is, and like I failed a lot of things.
Same.
And honestly, like my failures, I just built on top of those. Like I leveled up after the failure, essentially, right? Like I failed by leaving university.
that's not a failure. That's just a redirection.
Yeah, I
Listen,
guess so.
You know,
Mhm.
you know what? And I use the term rejection lightly, but rejection is really just redirection.
Yeah.
If you're stopped from accomplishing something or doing something,
Mhm.
it's really just you're being pushed to go to a different direction because that direction wasn't for you.
Yeah.
So there's such a negative connotation behind the word failure
Mhm.
that sometimes I don't even like using that term.
Mhm.
And maybe that's just me and my fear of it. But
yeah.
like, I would not consider you leaving university as a failure, not in any way, because
Mhm.
you did not fail, homie. Trust me, that was not a failure at all for
Yeah.
you.
And yeah, well, I was trying to use that as like a stepping stone, or be like essentially became a stepping stone, because I realized after I stepped away that what I really wanted to do, and I went and did that, and because I did something that I wanted to do, I was more successful in it, right? There you go.
Mashallah, mashallah.
No, but yeah, that's a big part of it. And also, like you mentioned, is just removing the thought of what if, because when you doubt yourself and then you end up not doing something, it just that doubt turns into regret eventually, right? Because then you regret, you're like 10 years in the future, you're like, if I just started then,
Yeah.
like how far would I have made it, right?
Yep.
And then that what if starts playing, and then you start regretting it, and it just becomes like a like something holding you back, essentially, like a heavy stone, and you just feel it. You're like, what if I just did that and I actually tried it? Where would I be right now? At least you won't have that thought anymore, right? If you
That's
tried
true.
it,
Yeah.
you might be successful in it. If you're not, then at least you know what the outcome was, essentially, right?
Exactly.
And you learn from it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's only human to have doubts. You can't really let it cripple you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Doubts cripple you, essentially. At least
They
it depends on what
do,
you
and it's hard because it's easier said than done. Like I've been in the position where, if I'm doubtful, or if something's holding me back, and someone just says, "Oh, snap out of it. Like, you'll be fine. Just get rid of the doubt." Like,
yeah,
if only it was that easy, like, okay, but it's not. You kind of have to you have to be ready from within. Like, nobody can really drag you to go do whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is, let's say you want to start going to the gym, but maybe you're not comfortable in your body, so you don't feel comfortable going to the gym because for that reason.
Yeah.
So now you have a fear of going to the gym. So instead of going to the gym, you're just going to sit at home and think about going to the gym. And you're like, one day I'll be ready. One day I'll be ready. As you let time go by and you keep saying tomorrow never comes.
Exactly.
As they say, you know what I mean? So you kind of just have to, I think one of the biggest things is eliminating the negative self-talk by telling yourself maybe you're not good enough, or, you don't belong here, or whatever the case may be. And look at me advocating for the gym as if, like, look what you've done to me.
I've been trying, guys. Oh, no, actually, no, you're going now. Yeah, you're going now. Exactly.
So, and that was something for me. Like, that's a perfect example. Was I had such big anxiety going to the gym because I always felt like, okay, well, the guys there that are doing the weights, like they know what they're doing, and I'm just gonna
your ability to like even do the workouts.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna look dumb. People are gonna laugh at me.
Yeah.
And then when you go to the gym and you realize everyone's literally focusing on themselves
Exactly.
anyway, nobody knows what you're doing or pays attention.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's a big part of it, and that's one aspect. It falls in everything, right? Like doubt of. Let's say you want to pursue someone, like you have that doubt being like, oh, they'll just reject me right away.
Ooh, yeah.
Not
like, to make this a relationship episode.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to make it that.
But that's a really good, like, that's a huge reason why.
Yeah.
Guys don't pursue girls, and vice versa. Because
they doubt whether or not they're worthy of that person, or
they just fear the rejection.
Yeah, or they just fear the rejection in general, right? But there's also like the doubt in pursuing maybe, like I mentioned, like a new project that you want to work on, right?
Yeah.
And I guess maybe something I've learned, like let's use our podcast example, right?
I was just gonna say.
Yeah. So the doubt was just like whether or not it'll be successful, or like whether you'll be good at it, or whether you even have things to talk about, or you run out of episodes in like 5. Like these are things that go in your head, and just you don't even start because of all these thoughts that come into your mind, and you're like, what's the point? But I think with anything, the first step is just do something. Like
just start.
Just start, essentially. Like even if, because the thing is, people doubt it because the doubt starts to build up because they're thinking of the end goal already.
Yeah,
they're thinking of the end of the race before they even started. essentially. And that's what stops a lot of people from even beginning, right? So just take that first step, even if it's as little as like what I did, where I literally just opened up a doc and started writing names of podcasts. That's it. That was like the first step, because the moment you take that first step, it's almost like a snowballing effect, right?
Yeah.
Like you do one more thing. Let's say you take 5 minutes every day just to like slowly work on your project. And then you start to see like, okay, I'm actually like, this is picking up, and you start spending 10 minutes a day. Then it's 30 minutes a day. Then you're spending your whole afternoon doing it. And then it becomes like you put so much of yourself into it that it becomes your full-time job essentially.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So you just have to take that first step. It's same idea of what I was mentioning, I think a few episodes ago, about like, whether it's going to the gym or like trying to live a more healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's the same aspect. It's the same thing for if you want to start a new project. Just start small.
Yeah.
And build on top of that. If you have those doubts, some people, they may not have any doubts and they'll go full force into it, and good for you, you know, hopefully you're successful. But for people, typically they'll have those doubts where they'll feel like, where do I start? Like, is it even worth it? Will I be successful? It's like, first off, just take the first step. You don't know where you're going to end up. Just take the first step. You'll build skills. You'll learn these skills. And even if you're not successful at what you wanted to reach, like I mentioned earlier, at least you'll be in that realm. So you'll be able to maybe support someone else who's in the same field, and you maybe become a team, or you can become a manager, or like just start essentially.
Here's the thing about that though.
Yeah.
And I believe we spoke about this very briefly, but when you made that point about how some people are doubtful because they're always thinking about the end of the race or the end of the road, whatever. I think a lot of that also comes from comparison. A lot of what we do is online, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
you might be like, let's just say, for example, someone wants to start a YouTube channel because they really look up to a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And they see how successful they are. And now it's like very daunting to think, okay, I now have to get a really good quality camera and set up a nice background and then actually have content to film. And then I post it and I get 50 views and 1 like. But how come they're getting hundreds and thousands of views, but I just got 50?
See, like
so then you're like, okay, how many times do I have to upload to get at least my first 1,000 likes or my first 1,000 views or whatever, you know? So we said it before. I'm going to say it again. Comparison really is a thief of joy. Like you can't compare your step 1 to someone's step 150 or something. Like nobody really posts the hard work that they have to put in to get to a place where it looks like everything that they're doing came easily to them.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're looking to try something new, just start, as Amir said. If you want to,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your age is, who you are, where you are in life. Like there are people who weren't successful until their 40s. There are people who weren't successful until their 50s. Like let's say even 30s. Unfortunately, like you mentioned with the social media age, sorry, like you mentioned with the social media age,
that's a ticket for your voice cracking.
Like you mentioned with the social media age, you see all these young people being successful and, you know, doing what you want to do essentially.
No, some kids are getting rich off of opening boxes of toys.
Yeah, but you can't think like that. Like you mentioned, don't compare yourself.
I know.
Whatever age you're at, if you had a goal, let's say even a past, you have a doubt of, or not a doubt, a regret of something that you initially doubted yourself in doing and never ended up doing, start now.
True.
If you still have that idea, start now. It doesn't matter what age you are. Like I even recently started having things like, if any idea comes to my mind, I immediately start just working on it. Like I said, I was mentioning. Actually, no, I'm not going to even mention that one because I'm still keeping it close. But essentially, if you have a project in mind, no matter what age you are, even if you feel like it's too late, it's never too late. You can start at any age. I can probably name off a list of people who weren't successful until their 40s or 50s. So, inshallah, if you live that long, like you still have plenty of time to try new things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you fail at it. Hopefully you learn something from it and you can kind of, use that to kind of as a stepping stone to do something else even bigger than what you had. You can go even higher than what you initially thought you could you were able to do, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true.
Yeah.
And I think, not to be like an ageist or anything,
Mhm.
but with age comes experience, right? And
Mhm.
and the more you fail, it kind of makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And more what's the word? Yeah, so with age comes the experience, and it makes you resilient. Because you've experienced successes and failures, right? So sometimes we view failure as a bad thing, but as you were saying earlier, it does teach you lessons, and one of those lessons is to be resilient.
Yeah.
Like if you know that failing and not to pull on a past episode, sometimes hitting rock bottom, the only place you can go from rock bottom is up. Or I mean, if you want to stay down there, you can stay down there too. But like naturally, you're gonna come back up. So, as Amir was saying, don't let your age, if you're older, stop you from wanting to pursue something.
That's a big part of it. So the other side of doubt, as we mentioned at the beginning, is being confident. So how do you become confident? And it's kind of hard for me to answer this because like I don't think I've learned this yet. Like I'm still in the process of learning this. That'll be in episode 400 when I inshallah we make it there. But I guess you can kind of fake it till you make it, essentially.
I was gonna
but
say
a big part of it, like of what I mentioned earlier, is don't let the other people's doubts penetrate you, if that makes sense, right? Like when people start to say, "Oh, is that really the best option?" Blah, blah, can you be successful? Don't even pay no mind to none of that. Of course, there are certain things when your parents are speaking to you, you should take what they're saying, but don't let it affect you in a way it doesn't even let you start. And of course, there's the aspect of like, well, in Islam, like you have to make sure you're listening to your parents, right?
Yeah.
So don't be a hard wall as well. Like don't cut them out completely. You can always compromise. If there's something that you want to pursue and you feel like and they feel like you should still maybe have like a plan A or like a main plan, maybe work with them together. At least this is what I feel like currently. Maybe this will change in the future. Work with them to at least make a plan where you can both kind of get what you want out of the situation. Of course, you might be splitting your time and maybe people will have doubts, or not doubts, but they'll have things to say about that. Like maybe you should pursue something 100% if you're going to go for it. But unfortunately, in the age that we live in, or at least with in the current time that we live in, there's still not maybe something that's completely 100% feasible, at least in our community. So at least you have to be able to compromise and still pursue your goals while still keeping the family happy, which is really hard. So that's why it's something hard for me to answer, because I feel like there's something I still need to learn there. So what's your idea on there?
I actually have a different approach. So, for someone like me personally, I wouldn't say that I'm confident in every single aspect of my life. I wish, but it's not the case.
Yeah.
There are some things where I'm more confident in this specific thing. Like if I know that I'm good at XYZ, then I'm going to have a little bit more confidence in that. And I'm going to let that kind of not lead the way, but like I'll lead with that and sort of try my best to minimize the things that I doubt within myself, but yeah, like I think it's similar to what we spoke about last time, where we're like, I'd rather focus on the positive things, and it's easy to focus on the negative things, but if I focus on the things that I'm insecure or doubtful about, then that's just going to bring me down, and then my confidence will also be minimized. So I think sometimes trying something new, and whether you fail or succeed at it, like obviously succeeding with something kind of boosts your confidence, because you're like, oh my God, I did it. I did a good job. Right. But also just like work, like for example, after one of our episodes where you were talking about like wanting to lead a healthier lifestyle, before the gyms opened, I started walking. And so at first I started doing like 30 minutes every day. Then, you know what I mean? Like a little
Mhm.
tiny baby
Mhm.
steps. And then I noticed that because I was tracking it on my watch.
Yeah.
I noticed that after like the second week,
Mhm.
it was giving me awards for like beating my time, like the
Ah,
route.
you
Like I was
start
doing
getting
it faster.
incentives.
So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Mhm.
So then I was like, you know what? Let me just take a little bit of a longer route. So I
Mhm.
started going 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then at first I was bummed because I saw that it took me so long,
Yeah.
like to finish this route, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm so slow. Like what happened?
Yeah.
Then one day I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do the hour walk today.
Mhm.
And I thought I was going to die.
Really?
Yeah. So I was discouraged a bit and I didn't walk
Mhm.
for a whole week because of that. Like it actually bummed me out.
Wait, because it was tiring to do the 1 hour walk?
No. The 45-minute one.
Yeah.
Because it took me so long. Like I was like, why did it take me so long to do this walk?
Mhm.
So I didn't. And then I realized because I didn't walk for the whole week,
Yeah.
that started to affect my mood. Because I actually enjoyed walking.
Yeah.
So then one day I was
Mhm.
like, well, the 30-minute walk is too easy.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do the 45. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the full walk.
Yeah.
The full, like, I went like all the way around my entire neighborhood. It took
Mhm.
me an hour and 15 minutes that day.
Damn.
I know,
Mhm.
it took me a long time.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I can do that faster.
Mhm.
So I kept doing it and I kept doing it and I
Mhm.
kept doing it until I got it down to an hour.
Yeah.
And then one day,
Mhm.
I don't know where this motivation came from. I got it done in 52 minutes.
1 hour and 15-minute walk. How slow were you going before?
I mean, listen, okay? Listen. This is a judgment-free zone. I was also just kind of like, it was just like after work and I was
Yeah.
so tired. I was kind of just dragging. I went out just to go out,
Yeah.
you know? But this day it was like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And I knew that I had to get back in time for work.
So you're that
So I was
lady in
like-
the morning with a brisk walk.
Power walking my way.
Exactly.
But when I got home
Mhm.
and I saw 52 minutes,
Mhm.
I was like, okay.
See?
And so I think that when you like I wouldn't consider them failures, but I just
Mhm.
wasn't doing as good as I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
So I kept pushing myself to continue
Yeah.
to go, right? And not that I'm like a confident bodybuilder now or anything,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But these little wins, if you want to call
Yeah.
them that, it's pushing me to go more, like to continue,
Yeah.
to keep going. Something that I guess in terms of feeling confident is just doing something for yourself.
Mhm.
Because we're so in our day and age, I feel like we like to, I was reading this article somewhere, but it was like a lot of things that we do, we don't actually do them for ourselves. We do
Mhm.
them so that we can post them for other people to enjoy,
Yeah.
which is so crazy. Because I was like,
Or to make like someone in your life happy, like a family member, make them proud or something like that.
yeah, like
Mhm.
how many times do you go out to a restaurant
Mhm.
and before you eat, you're like, I have to show this to my followers on Instagram, or I
Mhm.
have to send this to my Snapchat friends or whatever, you know?
Well, I ain't like that, because I'm
Okay, whatever. Not all of us are like you, okay?
I'm playing.
But like, how many times, if you're the type of person that always has to post your meal
Yeah.
online, and no hate to anyone who does
Yeah.
do this, but how many times have you gone out and eaten without showing anyone what you've eaten and
Mhm.
you've enjoyed every single bite?
Mhm.
Or how many times have you gone on vacation and nobody knew about it?
Mhm.
Because I'm a victim to that, okay? If I'm on vacation, everybody's gonna go. Everyone's gonna know.
Everyone's gonna be on vacation with you.
We all on vacation. You know what though? That's my thing.
Mhm.
It's like if you can't come with me, you can live vicariously through me.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's like you're taking away from
The
doing.
moment.
You're taking away from doing this thing for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's why part of me likes going to Ethiopia. This is random, but like part of me likes going to Ethiopia for this reason, because you're so
Mhm.
disconnected.
Yeah.
So you actually get to like take in the moment because you can't be on your. I mean, now you.
Well,
can,
I feel like
but-
I feel like now at this point it's
Yeah.
it's the same. So you might actually have it out even more, honestly.
That's true.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think doing something for yourself and
Mhm.
not telling anybody,
Yeah.
something that makes you happy,
Mhm.
that could
Builds your confidence.
I think so for
Mhm.
me anyway.
Yeah.
And then once you've mastered it and you want to show it off, then whatever. Like if you want to show it off, you want to show it off. That's up to you.
Mhm.
But confidence is subjective,
Yeah. Well,
you know?
is it? Yeah, I guess. Yeah. It is. It is.
because confidence for one person, like it could look different, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
I was trying to think.
Yeah. So, I guess we can close it off here. Like I guess the main points. What are the main takeaways that you want here? Or maybe go ahead.
The main takeaways would be not to fear failure.
Mm-hmm.
You should accept it.
Exactly.
Failure exists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you fear it, it could cripple you, and
Mm-hmm.
it could stop you from, you know, potential opportunities that you never knew
In any aspect of your life.
in any, like dating, jobs, projects,
Mm-hmm.
hobbies,
Yeah.
food,
Very much.
literally anything, like
Yeah.
whatever you could think of. If you want to try something new
Mm-hmm.
and something's stopping you,
Mm-hmm.
have that conversation with yourself. Like, why am I hesitant?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if it's something that's like stupid and you know you're risking your life, then yeah, listen to the fear.
Yeah.
You know? But if it's something that you have to really sit there and evaluate, like, is this fear rational? Does it make sense? Is it going to harm me? No, it's just an irrational fear, or it's maybe, I don't know, let's use Amir, for example. Amir's projecting his doubts onto me, and now I believe the doubts, and now I have self-doubt.
Yeah.
Then
So don't listen to, well,
you want to keep an open mind in general,
mm-hmm.
but you don't got to take everybody's opinion.
Yeah. You know, keep, like, at least make a note of it, but
Yeah.
whether that note makes it actually to your decision making, then that's really up to you. And I think, yeah, you pretty much said the points that I would say as well. Also, I guess if you're a younger person, I know I said age doesn't matter, but when it comes to taking risks, I feel like the younger you are, if you have more ideas, take more risks, because you're at an age where at least you don't have as many responsibilities yet.
Yeah.
So if you do make mistakes, at least no one else is gonna pay for it as well, right?
I mean, your parents might have to.
Yeah, your parents might have to. Well, hopefully you have a job. Like, I'm talking about, like, maybe like 18 to like 22 age range, right?
Okay.
Where like you're choosing either to go to college or university, or you're maybe finishing up university or college and you're about to go into the working world.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I feel like you should just take as many risks as you can, or not as many risks, but like try out as many ideas you have. Just go for it, see what sticks, and then pursue that. And if nothing sticks, just, if you went to college, just use whatever you had as a backup and go from there. But at least try something, try everything that comes to mind, so at least when you grow up, you won't have any of those regrets. So that's another thing.
And to also give yourself grace if you've made mistakes in the past. Like,
yeah.
We're all human beings.
Yeah.
We're bound to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Use them as learning opportunities rather than reasons to hold you back or hold you down, you know?
Exactly.
And then, so that's that. I think that those are, I think those are the
My mouth has been dry.
I poured you some tea. I was going to say, I think that those are the key points for the doubt side of it.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about the confidence, I think it's really also, contrary to eliminating the negative talk, I think it's practicing, like, I mean, you know, some people, verbal affirmations to themselves works on them, like to tell yourself, like, I'm this, I'm that, and then you start to believe it. But also faking it till you make it, faking the confidence. Some people are good at it, some people are not. There have been times where, like, I used to be so scared of public speaking. And you know, there have been situations where, like, I would give a presentation, whether it's in school or like our community, and some people will come up to me after, like, wow, that was amazing, you did such a good job. I'm like,
yeah, I know, right?
sweating profusely, like, really? Oh my god, like, my heart is beating so fast, I thought I did horrible. Like, thank you. Like, I didn't. And you're like, wow, okay, clearly faking it worked, you know, because you come off as confident to other people. And then when they assure you afterwards, you're like, okay, and then that kind of boosts you a bit. Yeah. And so the next time it gets easier and easier. And practice whatever it is you're trying to do. That also, you know, they say practice makes perfect. Sometimes.
And it relieves any of those doubts that you had.
Exactly.
The more you do it. Okay, guys. So if you liked what you heard, make sure to like or at least share the podcast to anyone you know who might also like this podcast. Remember, you can also follow us. Well, you're probably already following us, but, you know, share our page at Cousin Connection Pod on. Is it Cousin Connection Pod or podcast?
Cousin Connection Pod.
Yeah, How do I forget that now?
I don't know.
Cousin Connection Pod on Instagram. You can follow us individually. You can follow Sara at Ali Sara __. You can follow me at Amir Was Taken on Instagram. But yeah, hopefully
Stay tuned for future episodes. Fans of the Relationship Talk series, we will bring it back.
Yeah, and we're working on a couple other series that we feel like you guys really like. So hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later.
And don't forget, hit us up with your feedback, your comments, thoughts on the episode, this one or past ones. Our DMs have been a little dry, I'm not gonna lie.
Let's go.
Okay, so
we got a couple good ones.
We did. For you guys who like message us on a weekly basis, we see y'all, real ones.
Yeah.
Okay, but the rest of y'all, don't be shy.
Hit us up.
Hit us up.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.